Hey, what's up guys? Jeff Fenster here, and if you're new to the show, I want to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified on all things The Jeff Fenster Show. The link will be in the show notes below. Now, back to the show. Welcome back to another episode of Back to the Basics with Jeff Fenster. I'm so excited to have Itzel Estrada here in studio, junior at San Diego State, proud member of the Lavin School of Entrepreneurship, and new podcast host of the podcast 1993.
Yeah, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's definitely really interesting to be here and to get to know about you and your mindset and everything. So it's pretty exciting.
Thank you for coming, and I had the privilege of meeting you when I got to speak to the Lavin School of Entrepreneurship, and you were so awesome. So I thank you for taking the time, coming all the way up to our studio and helping our audience learn some stuff.
No, thank you. Okay, so I want to start off with 3 big topics that I think are really interesting, and they're hot topic in the world right now. So my first thing, I'm going to tell you 3 words, and you have to tell me what you think about them.
Each word individually or together?
Yeah, but I'm going to give you time for it. So my first word is education. So right now, with our generation, a lot of people don't know if education is even worth it. So I just want to know your take on it.
I think it's essential. I know the common thing right now is college is expensive. People don't need it. I went to college, I went to law school, and I don't really utilize any of my degrees how you would have intended. But I think it does a lot of things that people don't put enough credibility and value into. Number one, it creates the relationships. The people you meet in college, the people you meet in graduate school can open a ton of doors. Number two, if you are ever going to work in the workforce, it demonstrates your ability to see something through, spend 4 years showing up and delivering your best or whatever amount of years it takes you. And number 3, you do learn a lot. You mature, you understand concepts. Look, what you learn in school isn't really applicable one-to-one in the real world. I mean, you can't learn to be an entrepreneur in school. You can't. You can learn the idea about it. You can learn what's required, and you can learn accounting and finance and marketing and sales and all these skills. But until you get out in the real world and put forth that effort, you're not going to really get that. But it's foundation. And so when you see the economics of people who do go to school versus those who don't, they make more money over the course of their life. And so if it was, my oldest daughter, she's a freshman in college, I pushed her to go to college. And I'm going to push my youngest to go to college. And I think everyone, if they have the ability to, they should.
Interesting. It's interesting how you said, you can't really learn to be an entrepreneur during college, because I'm studying, my major is entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that I have no clue the way that I'm going to use it, because I'm learning about it. I'm learning about the lean startup and all that, but it's learning how to actually start from step 1. I feel we don't really get thought about that, or doing market research. What is market research? How do I start with it? So I feel a lot of college students do definitely ask themselves a lot, is this really worth it? Am I really paying $30,000 a year to be here and think that I'm not really learning anything? So
well, and I think I would correct them by saying you're actually learning a lot. You're just not learning the specifics of what you're and how you're going to use it, but you're going to fall back on it. I didn't learn, when I was an undergrad, I took an accounting class. I have an accountant, but I understand a little bit more about a P&L and a balance sheet and an income statement from accounting and finance, right? I understand a little bit more. I also learned things that have nothing to do with my major. But I do a lot of business with people I met in college, number 1. Number 2, I know how to learn a lot of information and apply it, because you learn how, in college, you have to learn a lot and then take tests, even in areas you don't really care about. So it teaches you how to think, how to learn, how to apply. Once you get in the real world, it's like I can read a book on how to swim, but until you throw me in the water, I'm never going to learn how to swim, right?
Yeah.
So there's still some merit to understanding. And so I just think, unless you 100% know what you want to do, and that's who you want to be, if you are uncertain, college is amazing. But if you're 17, 18 years old and you're like, I know, this is what I'm doing, it's all I want to do, I don't need college, you don't. You don't. But even doctors, they don't learn how to be a doctor in medical school. After medical school, they go to residency and they learn inside of a hospital while our doctor is with them, because there's book work and there's academia and then there's the real world where things don't follow the protocols, right? You can do market research, but learning that, how to think, is what you're actually learning. The market research itself is less important. It's how you're going about it. How are you analyzing this vertical, this niche, this sector? What are the questions that you are answering? And that applies, you know? And going through the idea of showing up every day to even to a class you really don't want to. I mean, I took some classes in college. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I feel like everyone.
Yeah, like I don't want this. This is never going to help me. But it forced me to go. It forced me to learn. And you know what? I know a little bit about stuff that maybe it helps me in a conversation and builds relationship capital. And I do a ton of business with people I met in college and law school. A ton. And I think that that is invaluable. It's worth way more than $30,000 a year.
Yeah. And I feel like they teach you the basics, but like you're not going into the real world without like not knowing anything. You
Correct.
At least know like something from some class, even though you hated that class. Like you learned something, a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, and going on to my second word, it's gender equity.
Okay.
So kind of like a little background on that. So right now we have more women in the workforce, I think, and like we're getting, I don't know, like what do you feel about that?
Like, do I think it's
like general, like what do you feel about gender equity in the workforce, not in the workforce?
I mean, I think gender should be irrelevant. I think that women are incredible, men are incredible. The best person should do the job. And I think we have equal aptitude and capabilities regardless of gender. So I like gender equality. I think there shouldn't be something that you can't do because you're a female, you can't do because you're a male. But you should have to work hard. You should have to demonstrate the aptitude and capability. And if you're the best person for the job, you should get it. Or if you're the most capable, you should get it. And so I'm all for gender equality. I have daughters, and I'm trying to raise them to be independently strong, capable women. But if I had sons, I would try to teach them to do the same thing. So I think gender equality is important. I don't think we need to skew the results. We overcorrect. I think women have, over the last 20 years, have become more present in the workforce, which is an amazing thing because they bring so much value. And so we in society need to adopt that style and be tolerant of a different mindset and approach. And I think certain industries over the last 10 years have started to be shaped by the incredible female leaders that are taking over. And so I'm excited about it. I think it brings more to an organization when you have both, not that both genders can think about the same problem differently, right? Just based on the stuff about gender and as a kid and how you grew up and all those things. And so I think having the mix is going to provide the best soup, the best outcome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's definitely good to have different opinions. And it's always good to have different opinions and different types of skills and mindsets and all that. So it's pretty nice. My third word, it's opportunity. So I'm Mexican American. I was born in the United States, but I lived my first years in Mexico. So I see that there's different opportunities and different size. There's different opportunities everywhere, and it's how you handle them. So I kind of think of opportunity as opportunity meets luck, and that's where success happens. But I kind of just want to know your take on opportunity and like success.
I think the opportunity is everywhere. The challenge is, do you recognize it? Because a lot of times it's hidden. So many people fail to realize that there's an opportunity because they don't see it. And they don't see it because they either don't have the domain expertise, the experience, the skill set, or they haven't been studying this area to recognize that opportunity. And so I think what the number one mistake we all make is we think there's a shortage of opportunities. There's endless opportunity. Endless. And you bring up luck, and luck to me is when preparation meets opportunity, right? But the key there is, are you prepared to recognize the opportunity? It's not, are you prepared to seize the opportunity? That's part of it. Most people don't recognize the opportunity. It passes them by, and they go, when am I going to get my break? The problem is they just didn't see it. It was right there the whole time. And so the key there is about training yourself through who you know, what you know, and how much effort you put into these different niches and these different fields to then see it. So we all have our own backgrounds. We all have our own expertise. We have our own areas. Like the area that you spend more of your effort and time, you're more likely to see the opportunity. So if you want to be in business, but you don't study business, you don't talk about business, you don't pay attention to business, you're not, watching CNBC, the news, or MSNBC, or whatever pick your news, Fox News, CNN, what it doesn't matter. The news about business, you're not reading quarterly reports, you're not reading the Wall Street Journal, well, then you're probably not going to see the opportunity in business. If you're only focused on sports or music or entertainment, then you may find opportunities there. So if there's an area of your life you want to see an opportunity, you've got to put in the hours. And they say 10,000 hours. I've become really good at trying to find opportunity in the areas that I'm looking for it because I study it. And so for those who are struggling to say, where's my opportunity? What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? The problem is you're looking in the world for a small little grain of sand. You need to shrink your world down and say, okay, what sector do I want to be in? And start to narrow your focus so you can find opportunity. I have found and spoke to entrepreneurs that have done incredible things. And I'm like, wow, that's so brilliant. That's so innovative. That's so crazy. I would never have thought of that because I'm not in that field. I would never have seen that opportunity. You know, I have a friend of mine, he's from Tijuana, and he lives in San Diego, but he was born in Tijuana, but he moved here. And he found an opportunity being a customs broker from the Mexican farmers across the border and the U.S. restaurants and people that want it. Because he had the dual nationality and the bilateral relationship capital, he created a company where he goes to Mexico, across the border, works with the local farmers, aggregates their produce, comes here, talks to restaurateurs like me, and say, would you like to buy direct from the farmer and save money and cut out the middleman? And he built a business. Now, that's an opportunity I would never have known about. I would never have found because I don't have dual nationality. I'm not from Mexico. I don't have the relationships. I don't spend time there. So he recognized an opportunity that I never would have. And that's an example, right? And that's across everybody. So I think opportunity is endless. There's so much of it. We just have to narrow our focus and be prepared to seize it when it comes.
Yeah. And I think finding the opportunity is hard. Like, I think, or like not trying, I feel like for me, I take every opportunity, or that I try to, but sometimes I take opportunities that I shouldn't. Like, sometimes I do more stuff than I should. And I don't know, I feel like it sometimes gets hard. So it's also like learning what opportunities you should take and what opportunities you shouldn't.
You got to identify what is most important to you, what you want. You know, in law school, they call it red herring, but it's a distraction. It could take you off focus. You can't chase every opportunity. You got to say, does this opportunity help? And that's where having clarity of where you want to go and what you want to be. And it doesn't mean you know what field you want to be in. Like, I've jumped from industry to industry. So you asked me 8 years ago, I was never going to own a restaurant. I don't know anything about construction. I was never going to have a podcast, right? I was never going to do any of these things, but opportunity presented itself. But I'm an entrepreneur. So in entrepreneurship, those were opportunities. So you've got to say, okay, what do I want to be? If I want to be an entrepreneur, what kind of entrepreneur? And am I in the tech space? Am I in every space? Am I a serial entrepreneur, or am I a specific market segment entrepreneur? Like, do I only want to be in tech? Do I only want to be in hospitality? Do I only want to be in travel and tourism? Like, what do I want to do? And then once you're in that, when these opportunities present themselves, it's like, does me moving forward on this opportunity get me closer or further to my end goal? And if it's closer, take it. If it's further, skip it.
Yeah.
Because you're defined by what you say no to just as much as what you say yes to.
Yeah.
Right?
Wise words.
Yes.
But yeah, okay, so now I'm going to go into like a bit of a harder topic.
Okay, here we go.
So I've been in retail for 2 years.
Retail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sales associate. So my question is, I do all the sales transactions. I'm up with the customer. He basically gets the face of the company by me. So he sees what I do and like how I bring him the shoes or whatever, customer excellence. And that's the reputation that he takes from the company. So my question is,
he?
The customer.
Okay.
So for Everbolt, like the person that's doing the cashier and all that, how customer service happens is like what the customer takes, right? So my question is, why are those workers getting minimum wage paid?
Well, that's a great question. There's a number, and this is hard for teachers, policemen, firemen, like these providers of service providers or educators or first responders. They should all make more money. But we live in America. And so in America, it's capitalism. And when you have to understand the system we all live in, it's not a choice. I don't choose the system. I live here. This is the system. So does that individual bring in more money than you pay them? It's basic revenue generation. So like you can take LeBron James, Beyonce, the singer, they bring in Taylor Swift. You know, she's a billionaire now, and she does one of her shows. People will pay $1,300 average ticket to go watch Taylor Swift sing. So she's making, I think, $12 or $13 million a show.
Yeah.
I mean, the number is astronomical. Are you going to pay $1,300 to send your kid to second grade? No. Are you going to pay $1,300 to go buy an Everbowl? No. So I can't pay the teacher, the lawyer, the teacher, the policeman, the Everbowl employee, the shoe salesman or saleswoman. I can't pay them what Taylor Swift makes. It's just economics. It's just math. Is it fair? Life's not fair. We got to get our mindset out of this fair word. It's not real. Equality is not fair. Fair doesn't decide if a little kid gets cancer or if a horrific terrorist lives to be 100. That's just luck of the world. Like, no one controls those things. So you have to stop being a victim to the circumstance, in my opinion, and realize if you want to be in business and that's your profession, you got to realize that, yes, the person working at the counter at Everbowl or the person working at the counter at the department store, they're not able to generate enough revenue to pay them very much more. Otherwise, the cost of the item has to go up, in which case people are going to buy less of them, which means there's less hours for them to work. And when you see minimum wage is not meant to be a livable wage. It's an entry-level job. And when we try to create these entry-level jobs and stay there forever, that's on the individual to realize, like, hey, I need to improve my capability so I don't have to do this job. This is a starter job for the industry. So if you come work at Everbowl at the counter, if you're with us still at the counter in 5 years, 6 years, I screwed up because I haven't empowered you to grow in the company, and you screwed up because you haven't invested in yourself to grow with the company or move on to another company. Not that I want my people to leave, but the average Everbowl employee doesn't stay at the counter for more than a year or two while they're in high school and college, maybe a couple of years after college while they're figuring out what's next, or they move up in the company and become a manager. Now they're not getting minimum wage. They're moving up into the corporate side. They're moving up into regional areas. So it's on both the individual and the employer to provide opportunities to grow and learn, and they have to take it, going back to opportunity from before. And so I think it's not realistic to say every employer should be paying everyone more. That's fine, but you know what happens? The prices go up. So now you were making 18 an hour, now you're making 25 an hour, but you can still buy the same amount of product. So it's the same as minimum wage. And so minimum wage is meant to require a entry-level wage so everyone can at least start, but it's on the individuals to say, okay, I don't want to make minimum wage forever. So either go talk to your employer and say, listen, I know I'm making minimum wage right now. What do I need to do to get a raise? What do I need to do to get promotions? What is the track? Where are the investments of my effort and time? It's on me to demonstrate why I'm worth more. And if you are worth more, you should get it. But here's the reality. At the department store, if you were to quit because you don't want to make minimum wage, someone else is going to take the job.
Yeah.
So the job is worth minimum wage. I would love to do what Taylor Swift does, but they're not hiring me. And no one's paying me $1,300 per ticket to watch me sing. So I don't get that privilege. Taylor Swift does. And that's why she makes $13 million, because she says, well, listen, if you don't pay me $13 million, I'm not going out there. And the people who put on the show are making a ton of money so they can afford it. And so it's about making yourself more valuable to your organization, your company, that opportunity, by improving your skills, learning more, and bringing more value. It's on you to bring the value so you can dictate more money. And I think that that's where a lot of people struggle. They're like, well, I don't know how to do it, so I should just get paid more. Should you? And I know it's controversial to say, I want to pay everybody more money, but they have to bring in more revenue. Otherwise, I can't pay you what we don't have. And if we don't make enough money, we close the business. Now you don't have any hours. And if no customers come because we increase the price, we don't have hours. And now there's no job. And so that's the vicious cycle that employers and employees are struggling with. And I think that it's on both sides. So for any Everbowl employee listening who's saying, hey, I want to make more money, come talk to me and say, hey, how do I get on a track to make more money? But then it's on you to walk that track. So it's a mutual thing. Hey, everyone. Just wanted to take a second to say how incredibly grateful we are for all of our listeners, and I want to hear from you. Your feedback is greatly appreciated, and it will only help us make this show better for you. So any questions you have, click the link in the show notes below and let us know. Now, back to the episode.
Going back to what you said about like people being like comfortable with their job or like comfortable being minimum wage. So yesterday I was reading and like it was like this controversial post, and it basically said that why not all internships are paid. And it basically said that there's still internships that are free because there's people that are willing to do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
And that shocked me because I am like, last week I was applying to a free internship and I was looking at it and I was like, damn, yeah, like I'm willing to do this internship for free. And that's why some internships are still free.
Absolutely. And they should be.
Mm-hmm.
I did a ton of free internships for years. Like I probably spent 5 or 6 years doing free internships. Why? Because the money you were going to pay me, the minimum wage that you were going to give me, pales in comparison to the relationship capital and the access to information and the people and the opportunities that I was around. And so, yes, if you get an opportunity to go follow Taylor Swift around and be on tour with her and meet all the people, she's probably not going to pay you. But who wouldn't do that? Anyone who wants to be in the music industry is going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
So if Elon Musk called me tomorrow and said, Jeff, if I was 20 years old and said, Jeff, you can come intern in my office and learn from me, but I'm not paying you, I would do it in a second. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the whole point. We look at money as the only thing you're getting. If all you're getting from your job is money, you're missing out on the opportunity, going back to that word. It's on you. No one has an obligation to make you successful. It's on you individually to make yourself successful. If you're not going to put in the effort, you're not going to get it. There's someone else who will. That other person's going to come and show up every day, kill it at their job at minimum wage, be great with customers, so they're going to get a lot of tips, so they're not making minimum wage. And then they're going to be like, hey, what else can I do here to grow? Can I help you with scheduling? Can I stay after and learn the management track? I want to grow in the company. Those are the individuals who make a lot of money. And so I just think that there's this dichotomy where people are stuck saying, my employer is not taking care of me. But let me ask you, what are you doing for your employer? Because the reality is, most jobs that are paying minimum wage, everyone can do those jobs. That's why they're minimum wage jobs. So you have to bring more to the table to separate yourself from everybody.
Yeah. And it's more like skills too. I feel like skills go into it, like how you said, like if everyone can do it, then like there's not much skills going into it. So that's why it's also like minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, interesting. So my next question.
Okay.
So you do a lot of transactions. You do a lot of like conversations as a transaction, whether it's negotiation, friends, networking, whatever. This right now is a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to know what you're getting out of this. Like, why are you going, everything. Like, why are you going to a lot of events talking about your journey, your mindset? Why are you sitting on this podcast?
It's a great question. Number one, I enjoy helping other entrepreneurs because it fills my cup. I've made enough money. I still want to make more. My financial needs are taken care of. So once I've accomplished that, I'm still 40 years old. I'm not 70 and I'm not ready to retire. So what am I doing? So I'm building my businesses and I'm helping the entrepreneurs of tomorrow so I can build relationship capital with them, because when you're a enormous success in 10 years running a massive company that you started or joined, I'm going to have a relationship with you and I'm going to call you because of relationship capital. And you know what? You're going to remember that I had you on my show back before you were successful in that sense. And I'm going to say, Itzel, great to see you again. And now I have the opportunity to have a relationship with you. The best time. So for me, I love that, right? It's selfish. I'm hoping that you're going to become so successful that you're going to be able to help me one day. Number two, it fills my cup up emotionally. And number three, I'm building my personal brand, which helps me as well. So if I can be a resource, people are going to say, you know what, that guy Jeff, he's done great stuff. He's helped me in some way, shape, or form, which means they're going to listen to my podcasts and my shows and maybe buy some products or services. You might go to Everbowl again because you're like, oh, you know what, Jeff's cool. I want to, or hey, I like Jeff. You're going to tell a friend of yours about me and they're going to listen to my show. And who knows, maybe they can help me one day. So you have to be selfish to be selfless. Everything you do is selfish. And I do it. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort, and it's a long game. I'm not making any money doing this show. I don't make money when I come and speak to the San Diego State. I'm not making any immediate money. I'm planting seeds for my future. I'm doing the free internship that once you have money, it's not an internship. I'm doing the free giving. The same way that you intern for free when you don't have resources and you're trying to build your brand and your company and your relationships, I'm still doing it, but I'm doing the more older version of free intern, right? I'm giving my time and my knowledge and my expertise. Those who've done it for me, I'm trying to give it back. So those are kind of like the big 3 reasons I'm doing it.
Wow, interesting. And you hit on a point you said about reputation, and I think reputation is so important. It can fall in 3 minutes or 3 seconds,
Yep.
and your reputation is basically everything. It's also like when you meet someone, you don't remember them by what they do, but by how they treated you. So I think that's really important. Like, what's your take on reputation?
It's everything.
Yeah.
I agree. And I agree. You can blow it in 2 seconds. I could say something on this show right now and ruin my reputation forever. Or I could say the right things and not, right? And so it's important to be true to your genuine self, right? And be authentic, because you don't have to play a part, which means if I'm authentic, I'm never going to screw that up. I can always be me. When I try to put on a mask and be somebody else, there's going to be days where I'm not that, and it's going to come out. And that's where I think people get in trouble with their reputation. So you got to find your authentic self. If you don't like people, you probably don't want to be public facing, right? I like people. I like making friends. I genuinely talk to a lot of people. Some days I don't, because I'm just feeling down that day. So of course, no one's 100%, but
Yeah.
whether it's a waiter or waitress, an Uber driver, or the president of the United States, if you give me an opportunity, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to try to find camaraderie. I'm going to try to find common ground, and I'm going to try to live my values. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I try to stay out of things that are, potentially polarizing, because there's no point. I don't need to talk about Republican, Democrat stuff. I'm not in that field. I'm an entrepreneur. My opinion is mine. Me injecting my opinion into that is going to create polarizing, some people are going to like what I say, some people aren't, and some people are going to hate me. Some people are going to love me. I don't need to fight that fight. I'm talking about bringing something that is evergreen, I want to be what everybody enjoys. More success, best version of yourself, health, prosperity, financial well-being, and good quality relationships. Who doesn't want that? And so that's the lane I'm choosing to be in. And my reputation is very important. So I would not want to do something to jeopardize it. But I do have to stand for my values, which means I'm not going to be walked all over just because of my reputation. So I try not to put myself in positions where I would have to make somebody feel less than, right? Because I don't want to do that. That's not my intention. That's the spirit of who I am and what I'm trying to do. I'm the make friends and have fun guy. So I want to make friends with everybody. So I try to build people up and build my reputation accordingly.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And I feel like you should always stick to your values. Like, it's essentially what you are and who you are. So,
but I think we're at a time where people fail to realize just because you have an opinion on something doesn't mean you have to express it. And that's why you're seeing so much loud screaming on every issue from every side. I have opinions, but they're mine. I have the freedom to keep it to myself. It's my view. So unless it's on my doorstep and I have to express it, I don't have to go out on my public social media and start screaming about all the things I like or don't like. I don't have to do that. And I'm not sure why people are feeling so obligated to do that today, because I do think it's hurting people's reputations when they're actually good people. They're just having a moment and they're expressing something in a way that isn't thoughtful because they're being emotional. And you should never make any decision or any public statement when you have emotion tied to it, good or bad. No good decisions are made when they're backed by emotion. You want to be clear-headed. You want to take a minute. You want to breathe. You want to assess. And you want to say, okay, is this going to matter to me in 5 minutes? Is this going to matter to me in 5 years? If the answer is no, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Like, why am I getting into an argument with somebody about something so stupid? Just to make them no longer like me and create diversity and polarizing situation? Why? Because I'm in the heat of the moment, so I try to take a minute.
Yeah, and I feel like you're seeing that more right now, like with TikTok. Like, you see how, let's say, someone got mad with a customer, like immediately post about it on TikTok. Mm-hmm. And like, I think that's really like what you said. You need to take a moment and see, like, is this worth it? Is there not? Because most of the people that like go on TikTok right after like they had something with work, like, or whatever, they get fired. And like, it's something that like maybe now their family is not getting like food because of that decision. So like, it definitely is something that you need to look at. Yeah,
it's the question of, would you rather be right or would you rather win? Mm-hmm. I want to win. So I don't have to. You may say something that I completely disagree with. Like, completely. I don't have to correct you unless it's about me and it's going to impact my life immediately. But if it's just your opinion, I don't have to try to change your opinion. It's not my job. So I'm going to allow you to have it. I'm not going to fight with you. I don't need to get and go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to find a common ground with you and say, you know what? While me and Itzel might disagree on this, there's a lot we do agree on. So why don't we focus our effort on those? And you can go home and think what you think, and I'm going to go home and think what I think. And you know what? We can still have a great relationship forever. And that one issue, we just don't interact on because we disagree. And that's okay. Smart, quality, good humans can disagree on issues, right? There's not necessarily a right and wrong answer to everything. Even if you believe in your heart, this is the only way. That's fine. You're allowed to believe that. But look at all the different religions. Everyone has, there's hundreds of religions in the world. So clearly people disagree. Mm-hmm. And they're very smart people in every religion and amazing humans in every religion. So if religion is a topic of issue or politics or capitalism or,
just don't hit it.
Equality, if we can't agree, we don't need to fight. Let's find the areas that we can, Yeah. What else can we find our common ground? And from there, we build quality relationships. And over time, we're going to find that we have more in common with each other than we don't. We just spend so much effort on all the things we don't have in common right now that it feels like we couldn't be further apart. And that's bad for society. It's bad for business. And that's not an area that I want to get involved in.
Yeah. Wow. And, my last question is, how do you find... So I'm an entrepreneur. I am barely starting, so I have a million ideas. I can say I have the entrepreneurship mindset.
Okay.
The thing is, you go around, I feel like people with the entrepreneurship mindset go around the world seeing a lot of problems and thinking of a lot of ideas. My thing is, how do I know? Right now I have a list of 7 ideas. How do I know which one I'm the most passionate for? How do I know which one's my idea, the one?
Well, there's no way to know unless you try. So I look at it I have hundreds of ideas. Trust me, I come across ideas. I speak to people. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I should do that. But I have my mission right now. So it's looking at what resources you have available to you today. And I don't look at it like some people where it's am I going to be happy doing this in 20 years? I'm not going to be doing this in 20 years. I do things for 3 to 7 years, and then I try to move into something else because I like to try different things. So I look at, can I be happy giving my all in this thing for the next 3 to 5 years? The answer is yes. Go do that. Even if it's 3 of those on your list, then pick one. Which one can you do right now with the resources Itzel has, the position you are in life right now, and has big enough opportunity to make it worth your while? Go do that. And in 5 years, reassess. That's it. You just can't be stuck in analysis paralysis forever. And you're always going to have other ideas. But, you get 100% you get done 100% of the things you do and 0% of the things you put off till tomorrow. So start.
Yeah, initiative. Initiative is everything.
Yes.
But yeah, wow. Well, it was amazing talking to you. I feel like everyone that's out there and has an idea, just go for it.
Yes.
Take initiative. But yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in to another segment of Back to the Basics with Jeff Fenster. We got to have Itzel Estrada in, and make sure you tune in to her brand new podcast, 1993.
Yes. Woohoo. Excited.
Thank you so much for listening. If you're looking to level up your relationship capital game, then take a minute and text the word Jeff to 33777 for a free copy of my Network to Millions playbook. The link will also be provided in the show notes below. See you guys next time.